Welcome to The Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Michelle Walters, Jeff Nolan, Leo Robinson. Oh no, it's Joe Boy again. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
Welcome, everyone, to the Third Side Convo. Tonight, we're going to talk about ghost guns. I'm not even sure what they were. I kind of wanted to talk about the debate or whatever the case may be.
We're not talking about the
Wait,
debate.
why not?
We're not talking about the debate. The debate
grab
up
me.
to here. Right? Get out.
Okay, hold on. Wait.
We're
Hold
not
on.
talking about
Hold
the
on.
debate.
Hold on.
Get out. We apologize for the interruption. Ladies and gentlemen, if, like me, you're absolutely royally sick of presidential debates, welcome to the show. You have just witnessed a military coup, and we have taken over. My name is Peter Gallo, and I'll be your host instead. I'm cheaper than him and better looking. The subject, which has got absolutely nothing to do with debates, is ghost guns. I'll have a declaration of interest here. I'm someone who shoots. I'm a member of the NRA. I'm a member of the National Muzzle Loading Rifle Association. And I don't have a view on this. I genuinely don't know. I'm in favor of shooting. I'm not in favor of guns falling into the hands of the kind of people that you don't want them falling into. So the question is this. Should the government be doing something to regulate or to prohibit the manufacture of firearms by people in the privacy of their own homes on 3D printers?
Yes.
So who's got a view on this? Let's start with Joe Boy, who's a noted moderate chap who doesn't offend anyone. Joe, what's your position on this one?
Okay. First off, it's really simple. We have the right to make bow and arrows at home. We have the right to make any form of weapon at home, and we can learn from ourselves and improve ourselves and make innovations by being able to develop our own weapons to defend ourselves. That also carries to firearms. I'm sorry if it's inconvenient. I'm sorry if 3D printers is making it faster and easier so we can print one in 200 hours. But it still takes time and skill. We risk ourselves when we make a weapon because we can injure ourselves with blowback and so forth. But the fact is we have the right to defend ourselves and make a weapon of choice.
So your position is this is something that the government has got no place in?
They should not be banning the right to do it. They've done it in New Jersey, but they should not be banning, in my opinion.
What do you think, Jeff?
It's my understanding, though, that if they banned it in 7 states, and if it were up to me, they would be banned in every single state that there is out there. First of all, I mean, the definition of ghost guns by the Bureau, it's manufacturing a gun, not through the normal process of purchasing like a Smith & Wesson or any other type of, manufactured gun that is untraceable and has no identifying features on there. And unfortunately, primarily the people that it's targeted to are the people that the hands that it's currently falling prey to is the criminal element. It's the people that want to be undetected because there are no background checks. There are no specifications and guidelines into purchasing these type of guns. And right now they've been able to sit there and fall within a loophole, unfortunately. And now they've come to the point where they've perfected it, they've mastered it, and now it's turning into, like, if you were to sit there and if we had somebody from the ATF that were on board, they would sit there and say that this is a massive explosion and it poses a public safety to all of us.
But Michelle, there's people killed on roads by speeding and fast cars all the time.
Absolutely,
I think the number
there
of
is.
people killed on roads, is there any serious question that why do we permit the sale of motor vehicles that can exceed the speed limit?
You know what, though, and that's perfect, though, because well, you know what, though, Jeff, I'll let you take this one.
It's just disingenuous, man. Cars are not designed by their very nature to kill. That's not the car deaths are by definition, well, at least the vast majority of the time, accidents. Guns kill when they function as designed. And
they function as designed to fire a bullet at a target. Is it the gun's fault as to where that gun is pointed?
So do you think that throughout human history, guns were developed for target shooting? That's why humans invented guns? That's ridiculous.
No, they were developed for a combination of military and hunting purposes.
Yeah, killing.
Well, I mean, it's still though. I mean, it's one of those to where the purpose behind these ghost guns though is to be undetectable. You know what I mean? To have no identifying marks on there. And with regards to the other normally manufactured guns that are out there, first of all, that are, you probably have some certain, safety regulations, so you can at least ensure that they are safe. But who cares about that? Because overall, they're in the criminal element though, anyways. If they are found within a crime, there's no way to identify them. There's no way to be able to sit there and try to do any tracing upon, what is going on. And
but the question then becomes, but why is it such an issue that it is not traceable? Does an individual have a right to sit in his own home and make his own firearm?
I think ghost guns have a right. This gives you a personal freedom to actually bear arms in the home. Right now, a lot of people are scared, sickless about what's going to happen during this big migrant thing going on. I think ghost guns are very important to have as far as just protecting the homes. I know there are laws that you can't regulate it. They don't know that you have a ghost gun, but they don't know that you have chemicals in your house that you can make a bomb either.
Well, absolutely, there is no, anything to state like that. But overall, if you're going to sit there and be purchasing probably certain type of liquid, mechanisms to where components on trying to, make a bomb, I'm sure that you would probably sit there and put on somebody's radar, which is the same thing that we're sitting in there and looking at with owning a firearm, is to go through the background checks, is making sure that we are doing this legally and lawfully. Where we can be supported by the Second Amendment.
Chemicals you can buy at the dollar store. You put them together, it makes fumes that can kill people, and you can make bombs with basic house cleaning stuff. I mean, that's not the same thing. I'm sure they can, and if it gets to a point though where, maybe we need to sit there and start putting some identifying, factors on there. But I'm in favor of track who buys Ajax.
Pardon?
You want to track who buys ammonia and Ajax?
You know what? No, not necessarily that, but if for right now the discussion is a ghost gun, and we should have identifying factors on if you want to own one, if you want to possess one, if you're, I'm not, I'm not against owning guns. I want to be able to sit there and own one myself. But surely, I'm not going to go out there and go buy a ghost gun, because normally those are going to be in the arms of elements people that we don't want in our society.
I don't think criminals will allow you to come out and just show their ghost gun, go into the gun store and walk in and say, hey, let me do the shooting range with my ghost gun. That's not normal. Like, it's not average to have a ghost gun and show it right now because it's not regulated. They can't put a label saying, hey, you have a ghost gun. I want to regulate this gun so we can let us know that you have a gun in your home.
Well, you can't sell them anyway. You
can't sell them.
The gun
so they are
built.
regulated. Is what you're saying? They're regulated?
You can't sell it
They're not
legally.
There are restrictions?
There are restrictions. There
Okay,
are
so let's
restrictions
start there with
already
that.
on
Let's
how
start
the
with that.
firearms are made and used.
No.
But how do
well,
those
I
restrictions
think-
apply when criminals are making them and selling them to other criminals without going
Right.
through
And primarily,
the background
that's where
check
this market
process?
is for.
Does anybody have any data about criminals and ghost guns? Or or is this just how we feel?
No, you know what though? Right now, the ATF said that they have taken over 19,000 suspected ghost guns, and that's just in 2021 alone.
People in
right now,
California
they're
were
considering
making
it an
ghost
epidemic.
guns to take them to gun buyback programs because they could make one for like $6 and get $75 in a buyback. That sounds like a good use for one to me.
It's actually cheaper to make a ghost gun than it is to buy a firearm.
Well, look, man, I think what we're talking about here, let's be clear, man. We're talking about a 21st century fancy version of a 1950s zip gun. Like, what is the difference? And frankly, I think this this attitude that, oh, well, by 3D printing and making these guns, you're learning about firearms, and you're like I think that's kind of insulting to actual gunsmiths and firearm manufacturers, craftsmen. It's
the
see
simple
that.
zip gun.
Are you saying we're not allowed to learn and develop a firearm if I want to build one? Because, see, for this show, I went ahead and did the research and downloaded 3 printable guns.
I'm sure
downloaded
you
it.
had done that
I had to
before this
register with
show.
my name and my ID. They made sure, but they said I got to make sure I'm not from New Jersey. I'm not a communist, so that
Yeah, but
I
you're
can go
not-
ahead and download it.
You're not building a gun when you 3D print something, Joe. And you, as a gun enthusiast, I'm sure you've done lots of gunsmithing or taken classes or researched it. I have no doubt about that. I bet you know a ton about it. And
You can
hitting
3D
go
print
on your 3D
a
printer
firearm
and then
nowadays,
assembling
Jeff,
parts
which is
is a
fully
different
automatic,
thing.
and that to me is frightening. But this
At least
is
you're
the
not
question.
contributing to the legal
It's not just a
firearms
zip
Guns-
gun.
in the
Guns
world.
are horrifically dangerous things. That's not inherently bad, but that's true. So an unregulated homemade gun with no quality control, poorly made or not, who knows, is incredibly dangerous, not just for whoever a bad
Who's
actor
it
points it
dangerous
at,
to, Jeff?
So you're for banning
but for
this.
the builder, for the person shooting it.
Exactly.
It
So
has
is
no
the
quality
question
control.
the
You are
government's
trusting
right to
plans that
defend
you've
and
downloaded from the internet? It's ridiculous. You wouldn't fly in an airplane that was 3D printed by your neighbor.
Well, they have to find a way to let you know, like the government needs to actually figure out how to recognize these guns, recognize the molds that come from the 3D printer so they can regulate it where we don't get on a
Well-
plane and then somebody pulls out a 3D printed gun and you're like, oh my God, I should have been ready for this.
But that's
Well,
the
they
whole
are trying
idea
to
of
sit
the
there and
thing.
regulate it. They are trying to sit there because, I mean, when they're like I said, the ghost guns have been able to sit there and
Right. Whoa, gents, cool your jets. We're going to have to take a commercial break. I hear the arguments, but let's calm it down, and we'll be back after a few words from these sponsors.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back. And I'm sitting thinking about this. Is it possible to blow your hand off with a 3D printed gun? And I'm pretty sure the answer would be yes.
Mental health
But
is the problem.
the issue of the risk of something that an individual can do to themselves sufficient cause for the government to attempt to prevent them doing it in the first place? Right? Is that a
Certainly-
safety factor?
yes.
Is it a safety
Yeah.
factor we have to consider? Leo, what do you reckon?
I consider that there are hobby lobbies and people that are enthusiastic with making the gun and don't know what they're doing and end up blowing their hand off, getting some ammunition in the wrong place, and the gun just explodes on them. So I think there is a problem with that and understanding. But I think we all have technology and we like to build guns, so I don't see it being a problem. They just need to be trained on how to do it. On the black market, they're not teaching you how to build a gun, right?
I don't know. I've never bought one on the black
know.
market.
I think that we're missing the whole point is, I mean, there are certain regulations that in order to be, you know what I mean, a law-abiding citizen in this country and owning a gun, we have to sit there and go through a background check. We have certain age restrictions. We have to make sure that you don't have, you know what I mean, a criminal history, no, you know what I mean, abuse, violence. I mean, there's a whole, litany of stipulations in order for you to receive a gun.
There
And then
is
to sit there
indeed, but
and
if
go
you're
out there
dealing
and
with a
just print one
situation
out,
where these guns are being made by criminals and being supplied to other criminals, does the fact that a law-abiding citizen will go through a background check actually have any bearing on that criminal activity?
I mean, what's the point of a law-abiding citizen doing this in this context? Why wouldn't they just go buy a high-quality firearm from a professional manufacturer?
Because maybe I want to build one. Maybe I
Well,
want to
that's
see
hobby.
if I can build one.
Well, you wouldn't be building one. You'd be
Maybe I
3D
want to
printing
improve
one.
on the design. And
That's
see if I
like
can
me
make something
saying,
better.
if I take a PDF of the works of Shakespeare and run it through my printer, I wrote it. No, I didn't. I printed it. That doesn't make me a writer.
And if
it
you
doesn't
alter
make
it, you
3D
can alter it all you
guns.
want for your own purposes. And if I alter the plans of a firearm for my purposes, I should be able to do so.
Well, can you alter it to fully automatic?
Yes, you can. That's the problem.
Some say
Yeah,
that's
that
actually
is
really
the problem.
rare. Most people who do
Well,
that end
rare,
up breaking it and end up
sure.
hurting themselves.
But the problem is I'm like, they're sitting there and manufacturing it to it. I mean, it's such a great, length where it's not necessarily just a 3D printing, it's the kits. I mean, and the kits are extremely successful these days. And the problem is we have a mass epidemic in this country. We have mass shootings every day, it seems like. I mean, every time you sit there and turn on the news, why make it to a point where it's easier to put these guns in the hands of people that don't need them, that people that have all intentions of doing harm? Because at the end of the day, a normal law-abiding citizen, let's say whatever, let's take me for example, you know what I mean? We go out shooting and I want to be able to purchase a firearm in the legal aspect. I have no intentions of going out there and buying a ghost gun. It has absolutely no room in my home. So I don't see any redeeming qualities of this. I personally
Okay,
think
Michelle, do I not have the right to build my own firearm if I want to?
You do have the right to sit there and build your firearm. The problem that we're having right now is the ETF is absolutely swamped. Like I said, they are, you know what I mean? This problem has exponentially exploded.
So you want to ban my right to build a firearm because it's
Because
unpopular.
the government's too busy and they've got the problem's too big for them to regulate.
It is too, well, they're trying to
Annoys me the
regulate it
most about
though.
gun nuts. Where everything is secondary to the Second Amendment. Nothing else
I
matters.
was just saying that in my head. The Second Amendment rights is everything about this.
It's like, man, the Bill of Rights is 10 things. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not just one. And the gun thing isn't even the first. But
right.
man, guns are a religion in this country. And
I
there
think that's
are
a bit strong, Jeff, but it is true. But you don't
It
you
is.
believe
I
that from
stand
a
by
legal point of view, you have to start from the constitutional position,
Well, and
which is
here's
the
the
Second
thing,
Amendment.
Peter.
3D printed guns are as free
We're
as
coming
speech.
up to time for another
We have-
commercial break. When we come back, can we address the limitations of the Second Amendment? The Founding Fathers did not actually foresee the possibility of a 3D printer, but they certainly understood what a homemade gun was. We'll be back after these messages from our sponsors.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad, my computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tibia Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
And we're back. And we're back with the question of the legal status and the Second Amendment. Written at a time when guns were made by individual gunsmiths and I don't believe there were any factories mass producing them. Yeah. And by an accident of technology, we appear to have come back to that. We appear to have come back to a situation where you can have guns manufactured in individual workshops up and down the country. And the question has to then be considered, how does the Constitution apply to that technology?
Well, I mean, I think that I'm always annoyed by Second Amendment absolutists that I feel cherry pick. If you read the amendment, which everybody has, of course, it's the right to bear arms, not the right to bear guns. So we as a society have decided to limit what arms means. Guns is within that in our society.
True.
But laser guided bunker busters aren't, and cluster munitions aren't, or hand grenades or nuclear weapons. And I realize it's not that black and white. You can get those things if you jump through an insane number of hoops. and you're performative about it. I understand that, but functionally, we have decided that those are prohibited. We have decided that felons cannot own firearms, despite it being enshrined in the Constitution. But when it comes to anything that tells a gun lover that perhaps your plastic 3D printed gun that won't be detected by a magnetometer should I got absolute freedom, everything, nothing else matters. I don't care. My freedoms. It's, man, gun people and enthusiasts have no shortage of abilities to get interesting firearms, beautiful firearms, well-crafted firearms, and to learn how to gunsmith like a true craftsman in this country.
Jeff, are you
Banning
implying
guns
that
is
there's
slippery
just no reason to have a 3D printed gun? Are you implying that no one should ever innovate in this world, and that
what is
we should
innovative about
redefine what is an
3D
arm?
printing
What is the
that
right?
your
I'm sorry, an
team
18-year-old
moves
girl
in
can
your
defend
garage?
herself against some big burly guy that wants to do bad things to her. I'm sorry,
Oh,
she
that
should
big
have
Not
the right
buying a
to do
ghost
that.
gun.
Defend
Not
yourself
gonna go
against
for
some big burly
You gotta
guy. I mean, you're drinking too much right-wing Kool-Aid, Joe. Give me a break, man.
How come?
Four-fifths
Jeff,
of-
stop right there. The issue is for the protection of vulnerable in society, and biology dictates. I'm sorry that women, being smaller, lighter, and more likely to be the victims of crime, particularly sexual offenses. Are you saying that they should not have the right to have a firearm to defend themselves with?
No, not at all. I didn't say that at all. I didn't even imply
I'm
that.
just
But I will
clarifying
point
the
this out.
position.
To your point.
But
To
is
your point,
it the
Peter,
type of firearm that you want to regulate?
statistically, a woman is 5 times more likely to be murdered when her partner has access to a gun. 5 times. Do we need to add to that with plastic homemade
I'm
gun?
not entirely sure how you would work that out. Is that murdered by a firearm or like murdered by other means?
Murdered by firearm.
Are you suggesting
Boston University study.
Are you suggesting that if you remove the firearms, the murder rate would reduce?
Well, I'm positive about that, but that's a whole other discussion.
It is, but the issue-
It's a slippery slope banning firearms. It's restrictions to our constitutional rights. I wouldn't.
And
Yes.
that is the problem that we're up against.
Outsider, the home invader, the big burly guy, the Venezuelan. That is statistically minuscule in firearm deaths in this country. The vast
Okay, well,
majority
tell me
of
where the
them
majority
are
of
within
firearms
families
deaths
and
are.
known to each other.
All right.
Actually, the majority suicide. If you need an answer, it's more majority
I know,
suicide.
yeah, no, true, it
but
is.
that
The
doesn't mean
majority
you
of it-
ban the use of all firearms because of that. You don't.
Nobody's
I
saying
have the
ban
right to
the
defend
firearm.
myself, and I have the right to craft something to defend myself. And telling me I can't is just bollocks. That's nuts. Telling me I can't defend myself. I don't have the right
don't
to
understand why
innovate
you're
and
married
develop
to this
unless I get
idea
certain
of
patents
3D
or
printing as
licensing.
craft.
I mean, the thing is I think
And
that
guess
we're
what?
sitting here
The
missing
ghost is out of the
point.
bag. We already have the capability.
Because that is the-
anyone can
That's a
download
problem.
these
It
things
is
and do it.
2024 to 25 right now. We can do anything on the computer.
That
Do you
is
think
the
that
issue.
the good guys are going to, the bad guys are going to go, yeah, you know what's against the law now, so I guess I won't download it.
If
Who
people
are the
think
bad
that
guys?
the government should be doing something about this, the question then becomes, what can be done?
What's trying
Do
to be
you
done
want
is
to make it illegal to
alternative-
have the ownership or possession of the 3D printing files?
It's
Or
not just the
is
files,
it
it's
illegal
the
to? Would it be illegal to own the technology, the machinery that would actually manufacture the item? It's
No,
not
it's-
illegal
it's-
to own a printer that you can use to print seditious literature. Why should it be illegal to own a 3D printer that can make a weapon that has the risk of hurting someone, and reality probably got
I
the
don't think
greater
anybody's
risk of hurting the
Go ahead.
individual that made it?
Go ahead. I hear her point. I want to see what she has to
You
say
know what,
about
though? I
this.
mean, this is the point that I want to say here and make, though, is they're trying to say and make this legal. That's the whole point of this, is trying to make this in a legal format. When it comes to our guns that are manufactured in this country, we have serial numbers just like we have serial numbers on cars.
Okay,
You know,
Michelle,
we have
but how
serial
does
numbers
the-
of being able to sit there and trace it.
How do we
and-
deal with the issue, Michelle, of what can be done to regulate them? If you believe the government has to do something, what does the
Okay.
government have to do? Or
And
what
the
can the
has
government
to
do?
either certain states, like I said, have banned them altogether. When it comes to the kits, they said what's on the revolving portion of it, and there's another
Michelle,
component put
I'm
serial
hearing
numbers on
you.
there.
I'm hearing you, but I'm not understanding you.
Okay,
What
so many states have banned the sale of kits. They have only one state has banned the 3D printed version. A lot have banned kits. Now, the current administration has changed the rules on what is a gun.
Yes.
And now it includes not only the lower portion of the gun, but it includes the slide and some of the top part. Has also been part as now these are labeled as well and is now called a firearm. But there are laws in place that have been implemented to say if you are going to go ahead and manufacture it at home, that's fine. But as soon as you give it to a gunsmith or someone to fix or repair, so it's safe for you to use, maybe you didn't do it right, and it goes to someone professional, they now have to register it, and they have to go ahead and put a serial number on it at that point. We already have those on the book. What else do you think they should do?
Well, when it comes to, first of all, the selling on the kits, I mean, the serial number should automatically be on there. And also, if you have intentions of sitting there and doing it with the 3D
It's
printer,
a block of metal. It's not a gun yet.
That's the how do you regulate the sale or the distribution of a
it's
computer
not
file?
the sale of it. It is putting a serial number on the receiver portion. It's putting a serial number.
How do you
on
regulate? How do you
equal
regulate
form of a-
the criminal failure to put a serial number on something that he produced at home? I don't
And that's
know.
the hard part. They're trying to sit there.
It's funny that she said that. It's like if you have a bamboo gun, how are you going to regulate that? So I've seen people put arrows and darts and bamboo sticks and shoot them with rubber bands, and it kills somebody. You can't regulate that. But if they make it a big thing and didn't get extremists that does it in a group of people, now you want to put laws on having that type of weapon. What's the difference from that and printing your own weapon? And now you're saying, hey, now everybody's doing it. Let's regulate that.
Well, first of all, we don't have a bunch of people that are sitting there and dying from bamboo and whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Oh, so it's a numbers
Whatever
game?
it was you stated.
It's
We
a
have
numbers
an
game?
epidemic
Come on.
in this country. We have a huge
Do we have a
gun
threshold of
violence
the number of
problem.
people who have to be killed or injured?
Now we
before
know
it
why
becomes
we
a
don't let
political
Peter Gallo
issue?
take over the show constantly, because he's arguing. You're not supposed to
I mean,
argue. You're supposed to
obviously
be
there's
metal.
no
The
number.
problem is I'm not actually. Yeah, you're not helping me. I'm not. I'm not understanding what can be done. I started this
Cat's out of the
not
bag.
knowing.
It's already
Well,
out.
The
We
cat
can't
is
print
indeed
it.
out of the
Why
bag.
try to? We're beating
And-
against the wall trying to regulate something that can't be done because it's already out of the bag. Anyone can print with a printer.
The problem, I mean, in a way, unfortunately, I mean, in science and our legislative, it hasn't caught up. I mean, we've been able to sit there and produce things, and our laws have not been able to sit there and catch up. You know, I'm sure that they could sit there and have test tube babies. Doesn't mean that we should. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? Have artificial children being, developed. Just because we can doesn't mean that we should.
Well, I mean, this country is so enthralled to the gun lobby, and we're so predicated on our mythology of, the rugged individualist Wild West guns and individualism and all that, which, okay, fair enough, whatever, that's our culture.
Well,
But
we're not going to solve this one, and I'm
No.
very sorry. I don't know that we've even succeeded in pushing the argument much further forward. But thanks very much for your participation. I'm afraid we're out of time, and I hope you'll join us again next week. You remember to like and subscribe on Facebook, on YouTube, and anywhere else you can get your podcasts. Thanks for participating. I'm Peter Gallo, and good night.